Welcome home all. Welcome specifically the people of Puerto Rico. Welcome to SuperMex Nation. Welcome to my world as I enter yours. So SuperMex Nation is a program and socio-political, socio-cultural show that deals with issues that affect Americans all over the country, geographically, religiously, ethnically, politically, for the obvious reasons, but also, and specifically, every other body that is American. And I want to make sure that we're 100% clear tonight, not just for my audience, you in particular this evening, but SuperMex Nation in general. Puerto Rico is a territory of the United States and has been for well over 120 years. As a matter of fact, I believe in December of this year, we'll be looking at, for people of Puerto Rico, 121 years of United States territory participation, not statehood, which we'll address in a second. So what I want to let you people know that are living on the island and have roots in and on the island, that there are those of us out there in the rest of America that feel with you, if not specifically because we don't live there, we didn't grow up there, we weren't raised there, we do feel. And I did feel, as I watched images almost nightly over the last couple of weeks of people in the streets of San Juan and other parts of your country, your territory, your island, and feeling with empathy what you were dealing with. I'm going to tell you why. Because brothers and sisters, we have the same thing here. Okay, it may not seem like it's so, but it is. Frustration, tired of the same old, tired of corruption, tired of blatant misuse of public funds, tired of blatant misuse of taxpayer dollars, tired of watching people tell you what you want to hear and then not delivering the goods that you need in hand on that island day to day to live your lives. That's a fact. We deal with it in other parts of the country. We deal with it all over America. Okay, it's a reality. But I want to speak specifically to you people that are dealing with what you've dealt with since Hurricane Maria last year and hurricanes that have devastated routinely your island on a consistent basis because of your location in the Atlantic going back into the Caribbean. What I took away most from the week and the week prior, after sitting with a couple of my colleagues last Friday night, Brother Miller and Brother Swainbo, was that you guys got out in the street and you got energy out in the street, over 1 million strong. That's remarkable. And I'm just going to say it right now. If we got that kind of participation in the United States, things would change immediately in terms of the stuff that we deal with as a whole for the entire continent, the 50 states. What you guys did was remarkable. And I'm here to tell you that directly. The biggest question going forward is the obvious one. What do you do now? Where do you go with it? I can tell you explicitly, with that energy, with that drive, with that motivation, with that frustration, I won't go to anger, but with that frustration, with that, again, energy, you need to not, and I repeat, you need to not compromise on principle, and you need to not compromise on the fact that you need something better for the people on your island. That is a fact. You have the opportunity now. In our neck of the woods, we call it, you've got the ball. What are you going to do with it? Are you going to sit there and watch, or are you going to take a shot? That's where you are. This is your golden opportunity. This is your time to do something about your situation and condition. Now, and I do know this because it's endemic throughout our country and other parts of the world, you may not feel like you have the ability to get something done. If you're just regular Joe and Jane America, regular Jose and Jane on the island of Puerto Rico, you may not feel that you have the ability to make that happen. Ladies and gentlemen, you just made that happen. You forced a sitting governor to resign because of public sentiment. That's you. You made that happen. You have that ability. You have the ability to hold your people to account. Now, this is why I know you can forward it, move the ball forward, and score big for your country. You've been in existence at least as part of the United States for 120 years. Over 120 years, going on 121. This is the best opportunity that you will have in your lifetime to get something done about the corruption and the inefficiency and the waste that is rampant throughout your system. This is your best opportunity. You better not let it go, because you will look back, whether you're 20, 40, or nothing, you will look back on your own history and wonder what you could have done when you had the opportunity. Why? Because precisely for the reason that you are small in relation to the United States and many other countries, your population and the ability to move people is directly affected on a day-to-day basis because of your number. You're not looking at 300 million people. You're looking at a handful of millions. That means you can move faster, generate more energy quicker, and keep people tighter and more focused together, smaller. My background is military. I love going in with a small unit. Give me 10 soldiers. That guy can have 100 or 1,000. My 10 will do more damage than they can possibly imagine, because we're disciplined, we're cohesive, we know what we want, we're principled, and we will not compromise on our mission. That's your mission, Puerto Rico. Hold yourself to account by holding your leadership to account, whether it's the guy you just got rid of or whoever the hell comes next. Hold them to account and absolutely do not compromise on your ability to make them stand up and do their job the way it's supposed to be done. Real simple. In this country, we call it do your damn job. And if you can't, then don't run for the position. It's that simple. You have that opportunity right now. Again, 120 years as a territory of the United States. Where do you go? Hold this leadership to account. Hold the next group of leaders to account. Continue your energy. Continue your drive. Continue to not accept mediocrity, inefficiency, waste, and corruption. It's that simple. Do not compromise. Statehood is something that many of us in the states feel should have been and should have been done already for your island. You should be part of the United States of America as an official state, as a voting body. We fought a revolutionary war because of taxation without representation, because of an inability on our part as a country to advocate for our own interests and our own people. Having somebody somewhere out there giving us all the rules, telling us all the laws, and telling us what to do. In essence, you, Puerto Rico, are that group now. You have something of a stake in the American process, but not a full stake. I'm telling you that because that's what we see here. That's what I see. Now's your opportunity to make that a full stake, and make so by becoming a full state. I'll drop something on the dime for you, make it really, really easy for you. If you can't become a full state for whatever the damn reason, then it's time the United States stand up and say to itself, us, if we're not going to make them a state, then let them do their own thing. Because Puerto Rico, this half-step measure of you being kind of United States, kind of not, a territory but not a state, for 120 years, I don't know about you, but that's a little too damn long. Now's your time. Now's your opportunity. You either become a full state, or you tell the United States to cut me loose so I can be my own damn body, and so I can actually have voice for my people. Be your own nation. One or the other. There's no compromise. We're either a state or we're our own nation. And then run rampant on good ideas, hard work, discipline, energy. You can't tell me the Puerto Rican people aren't willing to work hard. I don't doubt that at all. If I'm wrong, please message me. Let me know that I'm wrong. But I doubt it. You have opportunity here to do something that has not been done. You have opportunity to move something that has not been moved. I'm American, and I feel what you feel because you're a fellow American. I'm telling you right now, do not compromise on principle. Do not compromise on removing waste, inefficiency, and corruption in your system. And finally, move with hard energy towards statehood. And if this country is not smart enough to admit Puerto Rico as a state in this union, then do your own thing and go ahead, move forward. You want to know why? Because that's what the United States did. We left part of the Commonwealth of the British Empire. We left because we weren't getting our full due. I say, Puerto Rico, you are not getting your full due. It's about time you do get your full due. Lastly, I've commented I've said my piece. You know where I'm at. Really tempted to go visit your island and see for myself what it is. I've never been. It's not going to be to sightsee. It's going to be to talk to people. I want to hear what you have to say. I want to hear what you guys deal with. I want to see what you have the ability to do. Last call, reminder. I know there are some of you out there on that island that are vets. We brought this up on Friday night. You're veterans. You've served in this United States military. I had a lot of brothers and sisters from Puerto Rico when I served in the United States Army in the late 80s and early 90s. A lot of them. You're out there somewhere. Maybe you didn't stay on the island, but I know some of you did. I'm going to put the direct onus and burden on you as vets, veterans. You know better. You have the ability to understand what's right and wrong. And maybe it's hard, brothers, sisters, but you need to stand up and do something for your people. If you're a vet, you've been in my United States Army or any one of the other branches, you've seen what good is. You've seen bad too, so you know the difference. But you've seen what's good in structure, in system, in discipline, in cohesion, in moving with common purpose on a common mission. The mission should be to make Puerto Rico the best damn island in the Caribbean. Make it the envy of the damn world. But you got to have a purpose, you got to have a plan, you got to have a reason. Make that happen. That's my call out to my brothers in arms that I served with. If you're still on that island or any others that I did not serve with, if you're still on that island, don't compromise on principle. I cannot say that enough. I've said it 4 times already, 5 times. Do not compromise on principle, Puerto Rico. That includes my brothers and sisters in arms, those of you that have served the United States military. You know what good is. If you don't see it there, take action to make it change. That's my piece. That's my special report to you, Puerto Rico. I will be in touch. I will be in contact. I'm seriously considering going to your island, seeing what's going on, and seeing you get your full due. Why? Am I getting anything out of it? Hell no. Never even been there. I'm American, and so are you. And an injustice to one is an injustice to all. An injustice in Puerto Rico is an injustice to the American people. That I'm sure you can understand and acknowledge. Best to you, Puerto Rico. Stay on mission. That's SuperMex Nation. I look forward to seeing you. Welcome home all. You are back on SuperMex Nation on a special live, but we always do live, right? Special edition of SuperMex Nation. Just finished debate night number 2. And so we're coming a little bit later. The debates were 5 to 8 successively on Tuesday and Wednesday night. And I was able to hustle. I need a teleporter. That's what I need. I need a teleporter so that I can just get in the teleporter and do the like on Star Trek, and then I could just appear in studio with KP. That way I don't have to drive across town. Anyway, that was Tuesday and Wednesday, tonight and yesterday. 20 candidates over 2 nights, 3 hours apiece, ladies and gentlemen, 3 hours apiece, 6 hours of coverage, 6 hours of coverage. So I'm here tonight, special edition. We're going to go and break down, and I say we, because I got Brother Miller in the house tonight. It's Miller time. It's Miller time. I can't help it. I'm going to get to it.
I can stay awake.
So we are a little later. We are a little later in the evening. We're well after the witching hour. Getting into the witching hour back on the East Coast. And for those of you guys back on the East Coast, Barbara and others, again, apologies, but obviously debate stage wasn't done till well after 8 o'clock. And we just did our special report, or excuse me, special message out to my homeboys and homegirls out in Puerto Rico. I'm going to say it again. Stay on mission. Stay on mission, people. Stay on mission. Don't compromise. Don't accept mediocrity, inefficiency, waste, corruption. Do not. That's the first step. So we're going to get into debate. Debates tonight. We're going to get as much as we can covered. Just broad strokes, and then I think we're going to do something a little bit different before we walk out tonight, brother. We're going to do a... No, I won't say that. I was like, I could crack the joke, love it or leave it, right? I could do the joke, love it or leave it. I've actually heard that. I've told you before. People have told me to get out of here. If I don't like it, leave it. And people have told me to go back to where I came from. Even though you probably know, like, I've been in this country, or at least portions of my family. Some portions of my family have been here forever, meaning like they were here before the United States was here. And then I've got others that were here well over 100 years ago, etc. Exaggeration. But point being is this. What we're going to do tonight, and I didn't tell Brother Miller because we don't script everything. I give him broad general topics, tell him what we're talking about tonight because we like to make it free-flowing and not coined or contrived. We want it real. All right? There's no production show here to make us look good because if we're not good, we shouldn't be on the damn camera anywhere. I think you could agree with that, right? If you ain't good, don't get on camera. That'd eliminate a lot of people. That'd eliminate a lot of people. But here we go. So what we're going to do is, I think we're going to winnow the field like down to 10, you and I. We have to. Okay, but I mean, they're going to have their process, but you and I are going to do our process. We're going to say, take it or leave it. Get rid of them, keep them. Keep them here. So we'll do that. We'll do that before we're not. And we'll probably agree on some, maybe not on others. We'll probably have to like finagle toward the end.
How about if we start either at the bottom? Those who got to definitely go, and then we go to the top. Those who definitely have to stay, and then we'll have a debate in the middle.
And then we'll work back to the middle. I could do that. Okay, so we're going to do that when we wrap up right prior. Let's do the broad general strokes. This is a debate analysis, and we will talk about individuals, but we're also going to talk about the generality. So you had 2 separate nights. You had 20 candidates.
But that's not all the candidates, you know that, right?
No, I do. I'm well aware.
There's 4 that weren't
invited. Trust me, I'm well aware because one of them.
So can we start with just those 4 being eliminated now?
No. No, I'm going to tell you what. No, because there's one of them that I definitely don't want. There's 2 that I think are speaking to some very, very important issues that aren't even being covered.
2 of them that weren't there tonight?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Be enlightened.
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. There's only one that was on stage tonight that actually spoke to some of the issues that concern me. I think you kind of know what those are. They have to do with national defense, foreign policy, and our security. And here's like, okay, so we're talking generality. Generality. I think it's a damn crime that this country doesn't talk anymore about its national defense and security other than, oh, our borders are insecure. There's a hell of a lot more going on than just illegal immigrants at the border. I think there's a lot more.
That discussion has changed, though. Used to be defense was about being able to militarily defend ourselves.
Correct.
Against, all enemies, what is it? How does it?
Foreign and domestic.
Foreign and domestic. And that we were physically going to take them out. There was going to be a physical confrontation.
Well, I know your point.
Our safety now is going to cyber.
So
our safety is going to...
Right. But see, here's the thing. That is foreign and domestic. That is foreign and domestic.
But that's not
those aren't being talked about.
There's very few people that are talking about that.
I understand that. Okay, so and this is why I'm telling you that there are some candidates, and we'll name them in a second, but there are some candidates that weren't there tonight, and you're accurate. Thank you for bringing it up. I might not have, but there are candidates that are speaking to those issues that are not getting any kind of airtime and play. So my generality is, we're in a sorry state as a country when we can't speak to half of what, say, the executive branch of presidency is, and half of what the government's supposed to be doing, domestic policy and foreign policy. We are entirely skewed one way, where we always want to talk about domestic policy, but there is a balance that the framers understood and knew that if you cannot adequately advocate for yourself, defend yourself on the world stage, then you're just this one isolated thing that's going to get gobbled up.
Okay, so but as I'm saying though, is when you say defend ourselves, what kind of defense do we need? Do we need our military budget to continue to be in bombs, ships, bullets, guns?
Well, that's an easy answer.
Or do we
not just.
Okay.
Clearly not.
So I think what we need to do is also is be able to not to divert, but redirect some of those fundings we've got. We've got to have a cyber force. And we've got to be able to go out and be able to defend ourselves electronically and through all forms of media hacks. Well,
correct.
What did the Mueller report say?
Correct. Well,
that we were attacked.
Well, exactly. Okay, so without going too far back, we can generally agree. You understand where I'm at. We're not talking about those things.
There was
I don't hear a lot of it in debates.
There was some of it that came up tonight, very briefly. Yeah, it's very, very small.
Bit.
And I don't
again,
recall yesterday.
My point is there's a massive imbalance there.
Correct.
And the average American, and that's you know what I do.
But I think that's what I'm trying to get to is that we as average Americans have got to change our mindset.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, so
can't be about
there's an imbalance right now where we don't actively talk about those things, and because we don't have candidates anymore that actively talk about those things or that are knowledgeable on those things. They all want to talk about this, and this, but they don't want to talk about, and I'm going to say it, this other half. Now notice how I put a distinction there. Foreign and, foreign policy, domestic policy. It's supposed to be a balance. It's incredibly imbalanced right now.
If you think about it, though, what needs to happen is that we need to defend ourselves physically, domestically, because that's where we're being attacked at. Physically being attacked at is domestically. The gun violence that we've got,
correct.
What they're calling the
all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Right.
It's in the Constitution. I took an oath.
Right. The foreign part of it is not so much a threat of physical violence, of us being bombed and those type of things.
I disagree a bit.
Okay.
I'll tell you why.
I'm telling you, I'm not.
No,
remember,
you're right.
I have no military background.
I'll tell you why. Because it's one of those things where what we do see day to day, and you're accurate, is that there are things like, okay, Gilroy. You know Gilroy. I know Gilroy.
So is that foreign or domestic?
That's domestic.
Right.
Okay, that's domestic terrorism. That's domestic.
Tell me a time in with a foreigner where we've been attacked like that.
Well, I'm getting to that. Okay, so here's the thing. The false direction, and I don't want to be too harsh with that, but the false direction is that if we don't see or we don't feel physically an attack from a foreign power on a daily basis, because nobody attacks us directly, symmetrically. They attack us asymmetrically. For instance, cyber war.
But that's what I'm saying.
Let me finish the point. Because we're not on a daily basis attacked in that fashion, and some would make the argument we are. It's just like a quiet war. There are other things going on physically. Let me get there. So if we see day to day that there's an attack in Gilroy and some white nationalist does this thing here, right? And
South Carolina.
Right. Okay, it's all over the country. Okay, so that stuff the news will cover, the media will cover. But I can tell you directly there are things going on currently throughout the world in terms of preparation for a possible attack.
I got you, but that's there. Okay? What I'm saying is, where is our imminent physical threat coming from? Is it coming from foreign or is it coming from domestic?
Well, I already said it. Day to day.
It's domestic.
Day to day, it is domestic.
So what are we doing as a government to be able to deal with that?
Well, clearly not enough.
Okay. So where is our threat coming from foreign? Is it a physical threat or is it a cyber threat?
Okay, it's cyber threat and others and other things.
But
it's not overtly and visibly physical, but this is what I'm telling you. It's like a muscle. What do you do if you never use the muscle?
It shrivels up
Correct.
And goes away.
So because we don't get attacked on a daily basis, we are in serious, and I'm saying it right now because I'm the military guy that concerns myself with these issues. It bothers the hell out of me that we don't actively prepare or consider on a daily basis that we can get hit. And by the way, my kids in Parlier will tell you this. Hold on. My kids in Parlier will tell you directly that as I was teaching during the year or two I had, at the end of the 90s, into the 2000s, I warned them that because of where we were as a country, because of that right there, well, we don't get attacked, we don't get 9/11 happened.
But we knew 9/11 was coming.
No, we did not.
Yes, we did.
No, okay.
Just like Pearl Harbor.
I'm not again.
Pearl Harbor.
Okay,
we knew they were coming.
You're talking about like on a day-to-day basis, right?
But
you said we got intelligence, we kind of knew. But
And what
my
did we
point
do?
is, the population, the general public, doesn't believe we can be attacked anymore.
But it's not the general public's responsibility.
I disagree. It is the general public. Well, I'll tell you why. Think about this. If the general public is disinterested or doesn't care, where do candidates go?
So then let's reinvest. We need to take that money that we're doing with our military budget, then and reinvest it into us domestically. If the responsibility of our defense is going to be domestic.
No. But you have a Department of Homeland Security. That's separate and distinct. They do get their money too.
But the Department of Home, that's all political. You know it's all political as well as I do.
Okay, so I'm not saying you're wrong. You're right. But that is separate and distinct from the traditional military that I served in. It's not the military's job, for instance, to act as police on the border. That's not our role. Okay?
Correct.
We're separate here. The money that's allocated for that goes here. Department of Homeland Security is separate and distinct from the Department of the Defense.
Correct. Which is
separate
from the police department, which is separate from the sheriff.
It is. So that's a scary part. Okay, so we're going to get into another subject. But my point being, and I think you'll kind of agree with me here, even if we disagree on some of the simple things, we're not having those adequate discussions. My point is that the general public doesn't, and it's not on our radar. You know what candidates do and news media outlets do? They don't cover it.
But why is it not on our radar?
I'm going to tell you, it's laziness, it's sloth. I'm being kind of mean. I do believe it's an intellectual laziness on our part.
Do you think that we as the lay
public
is getting enough information from those who should be supplying the information?
They don't. It's a perpetual catch-22. Why? Because if media or news outlets or government, by the way, doesn't put that message out that there are potential threats to us, then what does the public do? Okay,
the threat is not there.
And so there's the catch-22. And then what does media do? If there's no interest there,
they go away from it.
Exactly. Right. So I'm raising the issue because what do we do on this show? We talk about instances that are serious and important, and we try to bring them out. And I will die, and I will know that these shows that I've done with you and Brother Swain and others, right? I will know that I put it on the record.
The best defense is information.
I thought you were going to say the best defense is an offense.
The best defense is information. Information is going to tell you whether or not you need to be on offense or whether you need to be on defense. Information is going to lead you to whether or not you need to hide or whether or not you need to come out. Information is going to tell you how much of a defense you need to mount when you don't need to mount a defense. And that's the issue that we have right now politically, is that we are not providing adequate and informative information.
Agreed. So I'll ask you, like, generically, would you agree that there's clearly an imbalance when we watch these debates on foreign and domestic policy?
Yes.
It's almost entirely domestic. Now, I'm not saying we can't have those substantive debates, and let's put that on record. Over 2 nights that I've watched, I got meat out of it. It may not be what you want. You may not agree with this plan or policy. I don't agree with everybody on the stage on everything, but they clearly put down policy ideas. It wasn't like a generality, like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. They talked about specifics in a variety of issues. So let's do this. To the first night. Healthcare was...
you're going to issues.
No, I'm going to point out the things that they definitely covered. So like for the first night and the second night, what was the first issue? Healthcare. Okay, and I think why is that? Because the average American cannot afford the cost of not just, say, the usual prescription drugs.
America itself as a whole cannot continue to have health care administered in the way that it's doing.
Agreed.
We're going to bankrupt ourselves.
Okay, agreed. But you agree that that's been topic number one? I'm not even saying it's wrong to say that's topic number one. Okay, because here's the thing. If most of America feel that, and we did a show specifically on just the healthcare industry months ago. If most Americans feel that if they had to do an ambulance ride or an MRI or a serious procedure, or they got cancer and they had to do chemo, and I can go on and on and on, or prescription drugs, they can't handle that in their budget, the average American, anymore. It's too expensive.
And here's the part that I learned, being a public employee, is I don't have those concerns.
Because you have health care.
Because I have health care that's paid through my employer.
Correct.
It wasn't until maybe about 6 or 7 years ago that I truly understood what all happened with health care. I thought that everybody.
Did you have it when you were little, growing up?
Yes, to the city of Fresno and the state of, I had parents.
Ooh.
One was with the city of Fresno, one was with the state of Fresno.
You know what my health care plan was?
No.
My mom, I'll tell you what my mom's,
so
health care plan. Let me give you it's a joke. It's a joke, but it's deadly serious. My mom's health care plan was, and she would tell me in Spanish, "Mijo, you better not get hurt,
Right.
or I'll hurt you.
Right.
You get hurt, I'm going to hurt you."
So
Meaning, no ambulance,
right.
no this, no that. If they come and they want to take you to the hospital, you say no. That was my health care plan.
See, I've never been in that situation. And that,
A lot of people are.
It wasn't until, like I said, I don't know, 7, 10 years ago when I really got into politics, when I really started.
A child of privilege, man.
It's not necessarily a child of privilege. It was just that my parents were blessed to be employed in a city structure with the city of Fresno and with the state of California.
So they had a governmental job, which usually means some kind of stability,
Correct.
some kind of health care.
Right. And you could go to, when you got sick, you go to the doctor. If you had to have a procedure, you had to go to the doctor. There may be some time in there that you had to wait to be able to get into these different procedures stuff, but it was never a concern. There were times where we needed to have medications that maybe we couldn't get or something like that, but it's never been in my life a concern of not being able to be taken care of.
Correct.
And I thought that people that, that worked at the grocery store had similar types of of health care. I thought that, trying to think of a non-governmental job.
Roll with me here because I kind of know this. You'll be able to verify with me. The understanding is there are more jobs, there are more people employed than ever before because the president says the greatest economy ever. Wrong. It's factually wrong.
It may be that it's not of all time.
Let's just say it's factually wrong.
But there is some fact to what he's saying.
In terms of unemployment.
More people
so I'm going to go to that.
Jobs now.
Well, you do know why, right? This is a simple one.
Because it's not tackling, a lot of them are not, they're not getting health care.
I'll give you even more simple. Remember, I'm a history teacher. Because the population is larger than it's ever been.
That's
so by
true
percentage, well, that's simple. And that's what people don't talk about that. If a president walks up on stage and says, I have the most ever.
Yeah, that's true.
You're beginning with the process by saying
you have more people.
Because your population is larger than it's ever been. So if the percentage of the population that has unemployment is lower or decent, then you're going to have more people employed than in the 1770s.
Gotcha.
87.
But here's the other part when I go back to the misinformation we've got, was that when you say that, tell the type of jobs that they're getting.
That's where I was going to go.
At Walmart.
That's where I was going to go.
There's a ton of people that are working at Walmart.
So
there's a ton of people working at these not beer shops, but the coffee shops.
Verify with me. So this is where I'm going to go with that. Now, you and I both know, like, for instance, in education and some government positions, in education in particular, there are a lot of people that work as aides and as other positions that only work how long? 3 hours, 3.5 hours a day.
No more than 16 hours a week. I believe it's 16 hours.
And you know why?
I believe, because then you don't have to give them
Because
benefits.
Then you don't have to. So more people.
It's not the day, it's the week. I want to say
You're right. It's hours per week.
18 hours a week or something.
I don't know what it is
17, 18 hours a week. As long as they don't work over that in that week, you do not have to offer them benefits.
I know that because when I got out of the Army, my first gig was I was a bilingual aide. And I never thought about it. I guess, I'd never thought about health insurance because I'm a healthy whatever, and I don't get hurt, right? That was my insurance policy. Don't get hurt. Don't ever do anything crazy. You get in trouble with your body. But I did 3.5 hours, and you're right. It was the week. It was the week, but I didn't get insurance. I never considered it back then. But there are the jobs that we now have that are, we have more jobs. We have more people employed. Those are the types of positions they're getting where you don't have to, the employer or the government agency doesn't have to insure that employee. So they get more jobs. You understand that, right? So there's more jobs, but. So
let me tell you how fortunate I was. From the age of 20 to probably 23 or 24, guess what my job was?
Man, I don't even want to know.
I worked at the liquor barn. Remember the liquor barn?
I do.
The largest liquor supplier. It was a liquor store and a grocery store. It was part of Safeway at one point in time. It was part of Safeway.
Was it on Blackstone?
There was one that was on Blackstone.
There was one on Blackstone.
The one I worked on, I started out on, I was on Kings Canyon.
Not that I would know that.
But even at that job, I got benefits.
Not that I would know that.
There was a benefit package that I received, and I'm a college
Liquor
student.
Bar?
Yeah, with the Liquor
Wow.
Bar. So when I say that
Well, were they a franchise?
they were part, like I said, they were part of Safeway at one time, and then I forget what the was it Albertsons?
Could have been Albertsons.
But there was 2 grocery store chains that they were a part of, and then they got sold to some conglomerate in England. But during that time, so think about it. Here I am, 19 years old. I think I was 19, 20 to about 24. All I got to do is go to work 20 hours a week, and they'll take care of ambulance visits. I can go get my wear glasses at the time. I can go get my prescriptions.
And I'll say,
so I've been blessed.
That's a good situation.
I've been blessed in the situations I've been in.
That's a good situation. So my point was this, that there are, on the surface it may seem like, okay, we're doing better in terms of employment. There are more people employed. Population increase, that's one, people don't even consider, but I always think historically first, population increase is a given and it's static. And that never changes. Population always increases. Okay, that's a fact.
So let me give you another one that I was blinded to until the last decade or so.
Stay on healthcare.
Well, it's not necessarily healthcare, but it does go along
because
with
we got to finish this.
With with equal pay, which is one of the issues that keeps coming up.
Matter of fact, when I walked out tonight, as I was leaving, they were talking about inequality in pay.
A woman principal in every school district I worked at, who was a 5-year principal, got paid the same amount of money that a 5-year man principal did.
Okay.
First-year principals all made the same money, whether it was black, white, green, male or female. 20 years. So when people are telling me that women only get paid 70 cents or whatever it is, 68 cents for every dollar that man is, I had no concept of that. Because of the business that I worked in.
As a matter of fact, a friend of ours brought that up. He's in corrections. And it's the same thing.
Same thing.
Okay, so he goes, women get the same money that we do.
Right.
Okay.
And so I'm not saying that it's a good or bad thing.
You wouldn't see it.
But when I go back to the point I made earlier about the information that we're getting, I think that is what is killing us. It's not the bullets, it's not the guns, it's not the domestic terrorists, it's not the cyber threats we got. It's the absence of information.
Well, in a broad philosophical / existential sense, yes. Because we're uninformed.
Correct. We're very extremely uninformed.
All right, so let me run this back. No. So let's get into it was the first topic both nights, healthcare. And let me see kind of where you're at.
Did anybody clear it up for you at all?
Yes.
Did anyone have a clear argument?
Yes. I'm gonna like take a step back here and say, no hyperbole or no self-aggrandizement, but I'm probably more well informed than most, and I'm probably more into what's actually being discussed than most. Hence the need for a show so I can get it out. For the layman, as my son tells me, I do a good job of breaking down incredibly complex situations for regular folk, because I'm regular folk. All right, so this is what I got. The first night, it was like the progressive versus moderate forum, and good. 8 on 2. 8 on 2, correct. But it was good because you have substantive ideological policy debate on issues. And this one's extremely important. So here's where I don't know if I'm a middle or a whatever, but I want to give you like a generality. You're going to like this a lot. Notice how, Democrats and some of my friends, they go, all these clowns, and I get on my friends to do that. I don't like that. I don't call a Republican or a Libertarian or a Green Party person a clown, or Democrats clowns, simply because they're on the other side of the aisle than me. That's stupid.
Absence of information.
Okay, that's stupid, and it's third grade mentality. And I'm being too courteous and I'm being bad when it comes to third graders, because even some third graders don't do that. Seriously. Okay, I'm not about name calling and making fun of the other side before I hear their issues and policies. If I don't agree with them, then I'll let them know that vehemently and argue my point. But I don't think you start great conversation and raise the level of discourse by making fun of the other side. So I listened, right? And I'm going through this. What I heard principally, okay, so we know that we want universal health care for all, but who raised the issue and who actually made it possible for the jumping off point? It was the Affordable Care Act. Correct. There was no universal health care concept until the Affordable Care Act.
Correct.
Here's the trick, is that that's not just a Democrat issue anymore. It's not. There are Republican friends of mine that in your situation, like what you're talking about, that do want some kind of health care option. Now, before we get into like the specifics, I don't think anybody will disagree that Because it's like this. We wouldn't need a universal health care. Watch this. We wouldn't need a universal health care if big pharmacy and the medical industry weren't so damn expensive. An ambulance ride will break you.
But
okay,
it goes back
MRIs.
to capitalism. We got to take. The profit.
That's capitalism.
Out of healthcare.
That's capitalism unchecked. So you would agree with me that if it weren't for that, then you might be able to survive an ambulance ride or your pharmacy, your drugs, your prescriptions, etc. You might actually be able to handle it if the costs weren't skyrocketing.
So, but then saying that, what are you going to replace it with? That's the question. And I agree with you, with the exception of folks in the Republican Party. I agree with you that a majority, I would say probably 2/3, if not more, of the United States citizens want some type of universal health care. Now, how you do that is where the debate comes in.
We're getting to that, but so you agree with me that if it weren't for rising healthcare costs, you might actually not need universal healthcare. You might not.
But
if the things weren't so expensive, if the costs weren't.
That's like saying if you didn't have water, if you didn't have water, you can't have rain. They're one and the same. Exactly. They're one and the same.
My point is, I don't believe that healthcare costs have to skyrocket. Market or not.
In our current system, they must.
That's why you fix the system. So my point is this. The movement to universal health care was necessitated because of the fact that we've not checked the healthcare system and it's skyrocketing cost.
Agreed.
That's simple. So I want to make sure that I'm clear to the audience on that. For those that say, oh, universal health care is bad because you're on the other side and you think that all Democrats are bad for trying to give health care out, right? That's actually a false equivalency. It really is. So you would not, I'm going to say this, you would not need universal health care if healthcare costs and the medical and pharmaceutical industries weren't so bloated and extensive to where they keep growing.
So what bloats them? What causes the bloat?
You're going to get it. So it's money, it's corruption, it's just greed.
Profit?
Yeah, it's greed.
And the profits, the profit then stimulates that you've got to have people advocating with the government, the lobbyists, those types of things. Right. You got to pay for advertisement.
That's part of the corruption within the system.
So whatever system we come up with has got to have a way to eradicate that.
The reason I'm bringing it up, because I like educating my listener. Okay, I'm going to say it on record. I can't flip the switch tomorrow and eliminate graft, corruption, greed in pharmaceutical medical industry. I can't do that tomorrow. Okay, I would if I could. It'd be ugly.
You can legislate it out.
Again,
you can put
if I had the ability, because I don't rely on.
When you say you as you sitting here now, or you as if you were the president?
If I were the president, I'd be on it right now.
Yeah, I'm telling you, there's legislation that you can put in place.
If I were the president, I'd be on it right now, because this is the number one issue they keep talking about. I actually think it's doable.
However,
so hold on. I would do two things. You asked me if I were president, I would do two things. I would crush the rising costs of healthcare in the healthcare industry, medical, pharmaceuticals, and now watch this. I don't like doing like it. Best defense is what? I attack. Sorry, that's what I do. But not only would I do that, because that's the endemic problem. That's the problem at the very core of all of this. That's the reason why people cannot survive healthcare costs.
Okay,
right, so let me give you the one other before. Crush that, and I would still do some base minimum universal health care.
Okay, so that takes out of the equation Cory Booker, takes out of the equation Bernie, takes out of the equation Biden, takes out of the equation, I'm missing one, Kamala, because they've all in their history taken money from the big pharma corporation. So now them going, and that came up with Ms. Williamson.
Watch this.
That was the one thing.
Now watch this.
I like Ms. Williamson.
So watch this. I'm like,
I got you.
I don't care.
I got you.
Because you know what I would do. I'd do it anyway.
I got you.
I'd crush
it anyway. What
I'm
saying is that's the dilemma that we have.
Correct.
Is that what we say we want, what we believe is right, what we know is right, then put some of the candidates that we would support into that. They puts them at a loggerhead.
I would tell you this though.
In particular, Cory Booker.
Cory
Booker's, I think, the worst in that situation.
I think you're right. I will do this though, because I'm a big tent kind of guy. I would not hold them responsible for a lifetime of what they did if they're willing to move forward and change.
But how do you know?
You don't. But I tell you what, you put their feet to the fire. Because what is a politician? They're there because they're there to represent the people. If the people, the average person, got tired of this smack, you know what they would do? The politicians would adjust and move. Why does President Trump get away with the things he gets away with? Because his base.
That was going to be my next question.
Okay,
that dude
it's
has set up a bunch of stuff that he hadn't done.
You know what?
Megan
Trainor wrote the song for him. It's all about that bass. It's that bass. All right. That's why he does and gets away with the things he does. It's pretty good. It's all about that bass. Because it is. All right. He does what he does and gets away with the things he does because his base gives him the power to do so.
But his base is what, 40%?
Brother Miller, I agree with you. Like I'm not.
It's a minority.
I'm not fighting you. I'm not arguing with you. But you understand the rationale. If the people that put you there or are there for you.
Come on, Puerto
Rico.
Show us how to do it, Puerto Rico.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to tell you. Puerto Ricans, the average Puerto Rican does not understand the kind of power they have. 1 million, that's like a third of their population in the streets. Make stuff, I was going to cuss there, make stuff happen. So my point is that the ability of politicians to do something and where they move is based and is predicated on the feeling, sentiment, and action of its people. That's it. So I'm going to say this. Like, I'm not with, on healthcare, I'm not with Bernie and Elizabeth Warren and some of the others that are over here, okay? But I also think it was like on that first night, I think it was kind of dumb not all of them, by the way, some of the progressives were just taking shots at them because they felt they needed to. That doesn't move the needle for me, okay? Provide me with substantive, issue-oriented, fact-driven, solution-driven, that's my motto, solution-driven solutions, policies that are going to solve these problems, okay? And we kind of heard that, but I do want to point that out because a friend of mine is a Republican asked me directly, like, hey, and he doesn't have health care.
He does not have
No, he does not, but he was.
Why? Because he refused to.
No, I think he's private sector. He's a private sector guy.
Okay.
So
but still, he could go into Obamacare.
I don't know. I don't know all the particulars. All I know is that he doesn't right now. But he was asking me, and to his credit, he was asking me, like, what do you think about, he wasn't going to listen to Democratic debates because he's a Republican. He can't vote for anybody. All right, and I'm just like, at least listen. Doesn't mean listen to issue of your fellow Americans. If you don't like him, don't vote for him. It's that simple. But I said, if you really want to inform yourself, you're not going to inform yourself on health care.
I'm still not clear on that. There's three distinct plans in there now that I found out, and I'm not clear on.
I kind of am. I'm taking a tack where I do. Okay, the option. Here's one you should kind of know. Some of the plans put forward by the further left people would bypass and remove the ability of union workers that already have a union plan from their ability to keep that option. It would remove it. I have a problem with that.
I don't. How can you say you have a problem with it when you don't know what the cost factor is? It may cost you less.
If I'm in a union and I like my health care, I don't want to somebody else come and smash it.
Why not? If you can get it at a better rate, if you can get it at a less cost. Right now, they're paying about
No, because there's no guarantee on that. Are you saying there's
But that's what I'm saying.
Are you saying option? That's the difference. Are you saying you give them an option?
No, I don't have a. If you come in right now, they're paying about $1,600 a month for my health care. And the reason why I knew that is because when I was on leave 2 years ago, I had to pay it myself. About $1,600 a month is what the district is paying for my health care.
Okay.
If one of their plans comes in and says, look, you got to come off of that insurance, and we're going to charge you now, it's going to cut your charge and cut your cost in half to $800 a month, but you're going to be able to get the same type of service. So you can still keep your primary care doctor. It's just going to be under a different type of plan. You can keep your dentist. You can keep your eye doctor. These relationships that I've had over 30 or 40 years.
Right.
I don't really care where the insurance comes from. If it's costs me less and I can keep my provider, I'm good with it. People get hung up.
That's what I mean by option. There's choice there.
No.
Some of these plans are not giving them choice.
I don't have a choice in that matter. They're going to take. I don't have a choice of keeping my insurance. No, I'm talking about
choice between competing.
Right, but
industries.
that doesn't. But to me, that doesn't matter. I don't care if you or KP, whoever's going to pay my insurance. That's cool. You're not my doctor.
You paying his insurance.
As long as I can go. But I'm just saying, if you're Aetna and he's whoever, I don't care where it comes from.
I'm glad I met you.
As long as I can keep my primary care doctor, which I've been with over almost 30, well, it's been 30 years now. Keep my eye care providers, which I've been with since I was a kid, probably a 45-year relationship.
Yeah.
And my dentist, I've only had 2 dentists in my life, my previous dentist passed. As long as I can keep them, and it's going to be less cost.
You're entirely too damn stable, man. I can't even say that.
I don't care where it gets paid from. So that, I mean, so when you say that it's not an option, it's not an option for the insurance provider. That's, to me, that's irrelevant. As long as the service, I say it's.
No, I agree with that part. I agree with the back end.
As long as the services that I have been getting under my current plan continues,
I agree with that.
And at less cost, then
I agree with the back
take my
end.
option.
But I'm telling you that there will be a lot of people that have negotiated deals, like, and I'm gonna say it again, like in a union, right? Large unions that have negotiated a deal with a specific provider.
So why? Okay. But think about this: why has unions had to negotiate that?
Because their people don't have insurance.
No, because the corporation that they work for is not providing them adequate.
That's what I just said. If your worker doesn't have insurance, what do? You go get them insurance.
AT&T has had healthcare insurance 100 years probably. Okay, through their transitions and stuff. So it's never a question of having health care services. It's a matter of the equity and quality of those services that are being rendered. That's where the unions come in. There are unions that are coming into business or unions that are becoming unionized for the very first time. They've got to have those skirmishes about you never provided health care to these workers. They should have it. But there are a lot of people out there whose unions are not fighting to get them health care. It's to improve the quality of the health care that has been provided.
Right.
So there's lots of different elements to this argument. And that's where I get confused when people say it's not a choice. What choice are you talking about? Are you talking about the choice of the insurance provider the choice of your doctor?
The choice of what would be the provider. Let's start with that because that's the macro.
Okay.
Where government would come in, let's say government in general, and say, we're going to do this and you have to go along with it. That's an issue. Not just for me, but that's like...
What's the issue with it?
The average American, I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of Americans that will not be okay with saying, okay, I have this healthcare provider, I'm with this insurance, and you're going to tell me I have to go on that one.
Yeah, so you're paying $2,000 a month with this healthcare provider here. We're going to take your choice away, and I'm going to force you to go with this healthcare provider now, and it's only going to cost you $1,000. You're saying that people won't...
That's not guaranteed, though, by the way. There's a lot of gray area.
I got you. That's agree.
A lot of gray area.
So, but when people put their foot down...
Because not all candidates are talking about the same number, by the way.
There are people who are putting their foot down saying that there's not a choice. The choice is not the issue. The choice of the care provider is not the issue for me.
I disagree a bit. I do think that some people, it will be about... They don't feel like they will have a choice.
They won't have. They won't have a choice.
Some people will have an issue with that.
But why? If you're paying $2,000 here,
look, at some level,
that doesn't. Lack of information.
It may not. Okay.
A
it may
lack
not be
of
for
information.
You. True. Okay. True.
I don't think that you can tell a person.
In many cases, it could be, but you do see that some Americans just going to say hell no.
I don't understand that. If you are with care provider A and it costs you $2,000 a month for your health care, if you're on Obamacare, which is there are people who are paying very, very, very high rates. If on Obamacare, the ADA, you're paying $2,000 a month for health care, we're going to eliminate your choice and force you to go with Plan B, and it's only going to cost you $1,000. Giving people that information, I think, diminishes all that stuff about choice.
I don't think so for everybody. I don't. I'm serious.
If you cut a person's expense by 50% and they're still bitching at you, they got issues.
But think about, and maybe they do, but they're American. They get to have issues. But
I think it goes back to lack of information. We're not telling that story.
Okay, say in like a simple note that your broad stroke was they're paying $2,000 on this right now, and they're not going to have choice. I'm telling you, people are going to have issue with that.
You force them off. Everybody is forced off.
People are going to have some issue with that just because.
Right.
Okay.
Because it's changed.
So you're doing so. Let's just do this. A percentage will have an issue with it. We can agree on that. All right. So then when you walk back and say, I'm going to give you this one, and I'm not going to give you a choice for $1,000. Now, your rationale, and I agree with it, is that if it's 1,000, that's better than 2,000, so they should go with it. But then they're going to say something like, well, I'm going to have to, unless I get to stay with the people I've already had before, the doctor, the dentist, or whatever.
That's where I will have an issue about choice. If I cannot keep the medical hear me out.
No. That's why I brought it up.
If I cannot keep the medical
because
providers.
You just said you've had the same, there are 2 dentists in your entire life, right?
2 dentists in my entire life.
So do you want to change that dentist? No. You want to stay with what you got.
But that's what I mean is when you say that we're going to take away your choice, are you talking about the choice of, because people say that
I'm actually talking about
with Obamacare,
both.
with ADA, they said that you would not have to change your doctors. And what I'm understanding is
it's both.
There were some people who, with the change, could not keep the providers,
correct,
healthcare providers that they had before. I have an issue with that.
Correct. So it's layered. I'm talking about choice at different levels.
But if there's one medical system, okay, because why do doctors go in and out of different medical health systems or health providers?
Make more money.
No, well, more money, or they know that you got a bad record of paying.
Make more money.
It's the same money, but you pay 4 months after services are rendered. This people pay 30 days after services are rendered. Yeah. They're going to go. But you eliminate all of that if you go to a single healthcare provider. So that's what I mean about the absence of information. I don't think there's enough information.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but you do know reflexively. Again, I'm kind of like that too. Not specifically on like healthcare, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm reflexively, if I hear of anything that begins with, you're not going to be able to do this. Yeah. Not change.
You mean being forced to do
I'm okay with change. But forced or not give an option or choice, I mean, I reflexively have an issue with lack of choice because I want to make my own damn decision. And listen, by the way, some of the stuff we do here on the show and other things is for the very nature of telling people about you now have a choice.
But people, the more information you give people, the more opportunity they have to make choice.
Agreed. You're an educator. You understand that.
Information is power.
Okay, so let's do this. So move on from healthcare because we're going to be there all night. I mean, I don't want to make it a topical show. We'll be here all night on specific subjects. But healthcare is first and foremost on both nights. Mm-hmm. There are some that I'm just not okay with, and some that are just like, that have said, well, take what Obamacare or Affordable Care Act is or was supposed to be and improve it. And I think the average American can go with that.
But that's hard to do right now because there's been chunks taken out of it.
It's got to be better. I would say that should be easier because it's already in place, for one. No, stay with me. That should be easier than scrapping the system and starting over from scratch.
I agree with you.
Who wants to do that?
But my question mark with that is that these big chunks that have been taken out of it by our current administration, how has that affected the system as it was originally put in place?
It's trying to cut it up.
So the whole thing about it is also, and I think, because you haven't heard anything about a plan from our current occupant of the White House.
Well, that was my general argument.
If that lawsuit comes down tomorrow, whatever court it's in, it upholds and says that yes, he can dismantle the Affordable Care Act.
Right.
What are we going to do?
We're going to wait another 18 months.
What are we going to do?
The average American is going to...
You know as well as I do, because of your military background, you do not tear down something without having a plan, even if it's a bad plan, about how you're going to, what you're going to put in place.
If you can't turn around, and I'll agree, if you can't turn around, if you removed Obamacare, and here's the irony of it all.
I'm still going to be good.
Let's watch this. Yeah, you will. Okay, but here's the irony of it all. If the president just flicked a switch and removed Obamacare right now, and he did not replace it with anything credible, good, or whatever, there's going to be a lot of people that don't have health care. And those people are going to go back to not
emergency
good.
Room
not
costs
good.
are going to go through
not
the
good.
roof again. It goes back to
my point to the irony was this, is that there are Republicans now that see, since you cannot, at the beginning of the argument, right, since you cannot fundamentally change the corruption and the greed and the graft within the system of medical and healthcare, then you better have something for the average American in terms of a healthcare plan. And if you're going to remove that, what are you going to do with those people?
Right.
They're going to continue to suffer.
I agree.
And so I'll say this.
They're not dying. They're not going away.
To me, this is not a Democrat or Republican thing. That's a my people suffer thing. And that's a bullshit thing to me.
I agree.
That's a bullshit. If you're making my people suffer, you suck. I have a problem with that. I'm going a little harsh. Okay, so let's move off healthcare. So this is what I got. I was like, out of the first night, you had 8 and 2. I'll push back a little bit. I don't think it was entirely 8 versus 2. I'll tell you why. Because I don't know if you noticed, like, so it's Warren.
8, 2, and 2?
Not, well, 6, 2, and 2. Here's why.
Because, I'm sorry, 6, 2, and 2.
Yeah, 6, 2, and 2.
My math is bad.
You're adding those other candidates. You're adding those other candidates, right? So you have Warren and Sanders.
Right.
And I will say this. I don't agree with them on everything that they want to do, but I can tell you this much. Warren and Sanders can adequately defend their position.
7, 1, and 2 in the first night.
I'll get to that in a second.
Williamson was on her own.
Okay, so they can defend their position with authority in discussion. And I'll say this. Elizabeth Warren's a smart woman.
She is brilliant.
She
brilliant.
had what I believe is probably the best line of the night. I'll get to that in a second too. But you don't have to agree with everything that they say or everything they push, but you do have to respect the intellect, and I do. I do.
Yeah. She's a genius.
I'm leery, about some of their policies and what they want to do. But after what I watched last night, she is hard to land a blow on. She's really hard to land a blow on, unless you do some third grade stuff and just call her a name. Right?
But that's she's okay with that, too.
And she doesn't care either. You know why? Because her brain's still firing. She's a very bright woman. So I watched those two adequately defend themselves. Now, here's where I'm going to get you the 6, 2, and 2, and I'll even morph that a little bit. Okay, let's get
Who's the other set of 2?
The other 2 is Beto and Buttigieg. And I'm going to tell you why. Because if you watch the body of the 3 hours, Buttigieg and O'Rourke really didn't take shots at Warren. You know why? Because think about podium position. You have the 2 in the middle that are the highest in the polls, and as it moves out from the center, Buttigieg and Beto flank those 2. They are next in position on their percentage of the polls.
Really like.
So they didn't attack a whole lot.
Who did you say, Beto?
O'Rourke.
Oh, no, he needs to get out. I'm sorry.
When
you said that, I'm thinking of Texas.
We'll get to it.
So I get him and Castro. I always have to take a step. I have to stop myself to make sure I separate the two of them.
We'll get to that in a second, because I won't totally disagree.
Beto, I'm not impressed with him.
My point was this: is that the 2 of those 2, they didn't really directly attack like the others did.
Right.
You know why? Because they have some position, and they have the ability to gain by getting out of the way and letting Sanders and Warren get attacked.
But Buttigieg he's playing on house money. That dude is going to be able. He's going to be able.
A lot of money.
He's going to. No, I'm just saying, figuratively.
He's got a lot of money.
He's going to be able to do whatever he wants to do for the next 20 years politically.
Yeah, and right up to the end of this cycle.
Whether he becomes president or not.
That was my takeaway. I don't think he will. But my point was that was my takeaway that night, is that Buttigieg and O'Rourke, if you really watch them, they really didn't go aggressively at Sanders and Warren, because who stands to gain if those 2 drop a little? Buttigieg and O'Rourke.
O'Rourke needs to.
We'll get to that. Okay, you're talking about individuals, but you see my point. Who stands to gain?
But you left a whole person out of that.
I'm not
Williamson?
done. I'm not done.
She wasn't part of the bigger group.
I know. She wasn't. No. She wasn't at all.
She was by herself.
Okay. She really. I tell you what. She does not attack people individually, and in my candy world, my snowflake world, I think it brings you credit when you can talk issue and policy.
But she attacked a bunch of issues.
Hold on. You can attack issue and policy without devolving to the petty of name calling and that kind of stuff, simply because you want to move up in a poll or rank.
That was her last night and Yang tonight.
I respect that. Look at that lady's different, but she brings some serious issues to the plate that others do not even talk about.
Right.
Okay, and I do think it brings up the discourse level. Okay, so we'll readjust the initial 8-2. I'll tell you, it was 2 in the center.
All right.
The really hard progressives to the left. Then there was the next 2 that are trying to they're jockeying for position, because they stand to gain if Warren or Sanders or any of the other top tier fall. Buttigieg and O'Rourke, that's 2. Stay with me.
Okay.
Because it's percentages, polls. All right. And then there was all the others. The one that I was actually waiting for was Bullock, because he's the first one back in. Here's the thing. I know you're going. I think he waited too long. Listen, the guy, if you look at his state, and by the way, and I'm going to get to you.
That's the one from Montana, right?
He's from Montana.
Yeah,
if you look at his state,
He's got a fairly decent level of accomplishment.
Agreed.
He seems like
that's why I should run for the Senate.
Well, yeah. He seems like a decent guy. He's straight, pretty fair, but I don't think I'm getting ahead of myself too. I don't want to well, he's out, right? I don't want to do that. But I was waiting for him, and then it was done. So I think you get my point. He needed to. I mean, you just got on the stage. You need to do something to keep yourself on the stage.
I don't think he did enough. I think in his mind, though, I think he thought the tack what he was taking was what he needed to do.
He was talking about
whoever told him that needed to be fired because they gave him some bad advice.
Well, yes and no. What do you do otherwise? Do you go progressive? You can't. It's not who he is.
You go yourself. Don't go in attack mode. Like you said, like Williamson. Well, you don't attack individuals. You go and attack issues.
Because they all felt they had. I mean, he wasn't the only one. I mean, I got tired of Delaney, by the way.
Yeah, that dude.
I'm tired of Delaney. I look at that dude and I'm like, man, come on.
Another one.
I'm like, the dude like, come on, man. Okay, so Delaney, I was like, whatever. I have one listening. Delaney, Hickenlooper. I don't want to go too far, but the ones that were most aggressive in terms of an attack on progressives, from what they perceived to be a moderate stance, they actually delayed their ability. Like Hickenlooper, Tim Ryan from Ohio, even though Tim Ryan, the big tall guy, okay, he said some good things. Like he's the guy there standing up for unions. He stood up there saying, okay, you're not. He's the one that got into substantive debate with Warren about having choice and what if your union gets this or that. They had a good conversation. It was a good debate.
But that's what I'm talking about. His side of it was heavily one-sided.
Entirely.
Because everybody is not a union worker.
Entirely. I agree.
You know, and although you may have a large percentage of
I don't want to regress too much, but you could have somebody that, like I told you about my buddy that I was talking to, he's private sector. He's not union.
And from what I understand,
they want choice.
Labor, people who are part of unions, has been decreasing. Labor membership has been decreasing.
I wouldn't doubt it.
So, I mean...
But think about where he's from. And I'm not saying I'm justifying it, but he's an Ohio guy.
Gotcha.
And we're talking about industry, manufacturing, working class, blue collar, white, middle-aged guys, right? That's what we're talking about here. That's what they're talking about in terms of that vote. So he was speaking to his group. I get that part. Okay? So those were the more progressives on that night.
So can we whittle that list down, or we got to wait?
I want to wait till we get to the back end of all of it. So let me. So best line of the night, of the first night. What did you have?
The best line was.
Do you want me to tell you wine and see if you agree?
I agree with you. I know you're going to say it's one of two.
Okay, so here's the best line was Elizabeth Warren.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, because like they tried to attack her. I think it was Delaney. It was Delaney.
Wasn't it the ball guy?
Yes, kind of bald. Okay, so he was like jumping on her, trying to say, this lady is deft. D-E-F-T. You guys look it up if you don't know what it is. She was deft in like mental acuity, fielded attacks, fielded intellectual assault, and on the spot came up with the perfect line. This is what the line was. Why run for president just to talk about what you can't do?
Delaney, right.
I sat there and I'm like, damn, that was a great line.
Absolutely.
That was a great line.
200%
Listen, and I'm going to tell you what, I don't agree with everything that Elizabeth Warren does. But why the hell do you want to run for president? I don't want a president that isn't going to do something. Okay, we have an entire half a country that voted for Trump because they thought he would do something. If we're going to get somebody elected on the other side, then that person needs to want to do something and not cry about all the things that you can't do.
Do you remember what his net worth? Oh, here it is right here. His net worth is over $230 million.
You talking about Delaney?
Yes.
Yeah, he's got money.
That dude's got a lot of money. A lot of money.
He has never stopped somebody from running before. But you should have saw, I don't know if you remember, his face.
Oh, yeah.
When she dropped it. When she dropped that line on him.
Correct.
Listen, when she dropped that line on him, he was like, I'm like, homeboy.
200% correct.
You just got your stuff handed to you. I mean, that was a great line because here's the thing. It wasn't just because it was her, but it's a good line if you're talking about somebody running for the presidency of the United States. Why do you want somebody that's going to get up there and cry about what we're not or what we don't do or what you can't do? I don't want that.
The other one is, I wrote the damn bill.
Oh, Bernie. Yeah, I know. Like
that was the other. That was the other one.
That was funny.
Yeah.
That was funny.
That was okay. That really didn't have any substance other than
it was humor. It was funny,
and it poked right back at him.
Okay, so the other guy was Tim Ryan, the other what we would term moderate, right? And he was jumping on Bernie about, well, it isn't this and that. Goes, no, I wrote the damn bill.
Yeah,
I should know what's in it.
I wrote
that was.
You're wrong, and it was.
And so I think like general consensus on that first night, I don't believe in saying somebody won a debate. I don't believe in doing that because everybody's going to think their person won the debate. But there's no question if the intent of the other group of people on the stage was to attack Warren and
Hey, can we
Sanders.
get this list down to 10? I'm itching to do this.
I know you are. Okay, but I think we can agree that Warren and Sanders defended their positions adequately,
Yes.
even if I don't agree with everything they did.
Yes.
They were pretty damn adept at
Yes.
fielding attacks and coming up with some lines that you'd like, wow, okay. All right. But that line by Warren, that was the one that struck me because it wasn't just a smart, funny quip, QUIP. It wasn't just a smart, funny quip. It was a line for the presidency.
Correct.
Why do you want somebody in the presidency that's going to cry and complain and not do?
Right.
To me, that's what the presidency is.
You
That's what
shouldn't elect a person because of what they can't do. You should be electing people because of what they can do.
What they're
Right.
going to do.
Right.
Okay. What also I got out of that first night was there was absolutely no talk whatsoever on Russia, Mueller, and the report and the findings and the evidence in Russian attack.
I'm glad they didn't.
There was nothing.
I'm glad they didn't.
I'm kind of.
I'm glad they didn't.
Darren, it's a serious issue for me.
I got you.
Okay. Or impeachment. Or impeachment.
But here would be a better, instead of talking about that, what I wish they would have done is they should have talked about the Senate's position and not upholding those two bills, those two forms of legislation they had to protect our election
And
system.
I don't know, so are you on my page? Do I have you on my page?
I don't know if
I posted that yesterday.
I think
posted
that's
it.
a bigger issue for me now
It's a
than
damn
this.
crime.
Yeah.
It's twofold for me. I don't want to digress too much, and we got to finish this up. But it's twofold for me. Mitch McConnell is holding in the Senate, and it's bipartisan in support. You have Republicans and Democrats. Oh, scary thought. Republicans, Democrats working together. Okay, on this one, they're working together. Mitch McConnell specifically is not bringing it to the floor and killing it. It's twofold because, one, that to me is a damn crime. That is. I don't like tossing about the un-American thing, and I'm not going to say it right now, but damn it, I'm moving that way. That is not America to me. Okay, so that's the first part. Now think about this. The second part is I posted on my page on the SuperMex Nation, the group. He had just received, or he was receiving, and has already received large contributions from the people who sell the voting machines.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Oh, I read it. It was that, and here's more. The Saudi Arabian connection, which I have a major bone to pick with.
Well, what about
we're getting our
what
asses
about
sold
that
up the
aluminum
river.
plant that's there that the Russian oligarch owns?
Yeah, there's
what about
there's too much. So all of those connections, the average person is not informed of. I try to inform my listener, my viewer, because all that's going on in broad daylight. What is wrong with securing your election? Why would you not want to secure your election? What the hell's going on?
Because it benefited him to stay in office. So,
No question. Because and here's the thing with Mitch McConnell. I don't want to go too far in the weeds here, but the thing with Mitch McConnell is the wife is, I think, the labor secretary.
Correct.
And she's under investigation for all kinds of graft and corruption.
But it's her family also. It's not just her, it's her family.
Going back to, I know. Going back to China. Not to Cali either. Going back to Cali. Cali. You don't even know. You guys don't even know.
You better get to this list, man.
we're
I'm
getting to
gonna be
this
in here
list.
snoring soon.
Okay,
Remember,
debate-
I'm back at work.
Yeah, debate night 2, the three principle before I walked out. When I walked out, they began talking about inequality in women's pay.
Right.
And I'm just going to put it on record for my ladies out there. I think Hispanic women get paid 52 cents on the dollar. Black women get paid like 62 something cents on a dollar. That's a crime. That is a
Agreed.
damn crime to me.
Agreed.
And I can't make, so we are still there. But let me go. So healthcare was the first topic as apropos, right? Immigration, they got to immigration. And they began to go on criminal justice. But my easy
Talked about the environment.
yeah, a little bit after.
Talked about the environment.
Okay,
yeah.
Inslee did. Inslee.
There was a couple of them that talked
They
about
did
it.
talk
And the
about
green- not Gabbard.
They all
lady.
did.
What's the other lady's name that's on there?
Kirsten Gillibrand.
Gillibrand talked about the New Green Deal.
Okay,
Yeah,
so that
she
was
talked
when I
about
was
that.
finishing up.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are the main ones, and then up to that point. But clearly the takeaway was, I mean, I don't know, you said you didn't see the very beginning.
I didn't.
De Blasio was first.
I listened to it on the radio.
All right, so De
That
Blasio
dude-
was first. So De Blasio was first, and the first thing he did was jump on Biden.
He jumped up Biden all night long.
I know, but my point is, he started, the whole debate started with
I heard that on the radio.
let's
I
attack
listened to
Biden.
that on the radio on the
So
way in.
he attacked Biden, Here's what I got. He attacked Biden. Obviously, Harris and Booker, everybody knew they were going to attack Biden.
Booker did well tonight. Booker did well tonight.
I'm not going to say he did bad, but here's my, because
He
for me,
did
it's
well.
like, it's stylistic for me. I don't like a lot of, I don't like a lot of political scoring points just to make yourself look good. I'm not like
But
that.
that's the only thing he's got going
He's
for
got no
himself
choice.
right now.
That's the one thing I do know. He's got no
He's a
choice. What's he going to do?
He's a cornered animal. He's got to come out fighting.
He's got to do something.
Yeah,
so I don't fault the guy for doing it,
I thought he
but
did a
by the
good
same
job.
time, and I talked to some of my buddies on the way here. By the same token, I don't have to like it either. I don't like it. You know, you get it kind of felt personal. It felt personal. So he did. Blasio came out swinging like multiple times on Biden, and I'm not just going to say defend Biden, but I generally don't like attacks that feel personal or that you clearly understand they have to do them so they can move up in the polls.
Right.
That ain't enough for me. That's weak. That's weak for me. So there were only a handful that didn't attack Biden. You know?
It was 9-on-1 tonight, man.
No, Gabbard didn't. Gabbard didn't attack Biden. Gabbard, in some ways,
Well, she was on Harris all night.
well, she
That's true. She was on Harris.
She put a smack on Harris,
Yeah, she put it,
and I
yeah.
watched Harris's face like
She didn't do very well tonight because she couldn't get into the back and forth.
well, because she got jumped on.
She took a hit tonight.
She got jumped on, and like you said before we went on the show, Tulsi Gabbard. Look, I know I'm not supposed to do this. All right, I know I'm not supposed
glad
to.
you're doing it, not me.
I'm not going to be not doing what you think I'm going to do. Right? Okay. Tulsi Gabbard walked on stage. She walked up in that white suit. I was like,
See, I didn't see all that stuff.
she had a white suit on and stood out from everybody on the stage. And I'll say it, and I don't give a damn, but she's a good-looking woman.
She's a very attractive woman.
She is a good-looking woman, walked up in a white suit and just threw smackdown. I was like, And I'm going to tell you why. I like Tulsi Gabbard. I've been liking her since like early on.
She can't be the president.
Early on, she adequately and with authority talks about foreign policy, national security, national defense.
Correct.
In a lane that very few of them can match.
Correct, but-
other than the guys that are not on the stage.
But that substantively cannot be
Enough.
enough. That's not enough substance. I'm not
Okay.
taking anything
Yeah,
away from her.
yeah. I won't
but that's
disagree.
That's not enough
I
substance
won't disagree
to be in that
but
office.
she doesn't have a lane she can go to where she's all alone. That one she's clearly alone.
She's another one
But
who,
I would
if
tell
she
you,
plays it smart, she'll be able to write her ticket. She'll be a major factor in this, in the Democratic side of the political body for the next 20
I will
years.
tell you this. She is smart. She's got a hell of a resume. They tried to jump on her for some votes in the past. I don't give a damn.
Remember, she was the one that they really jumped on about the LGBTQIA
Yeah.
comments that she made, I guess, previous.
And
as
she paid
said,
a price for
yeah.
it. They jumped on her.
And she said, listen, coming up in a very conservative household, conservative parents, this is what
She
I
was
was raised
honest.
with.
She was honest.
Now that I'm in the politics, now that I've been in armed forces and things, I understand and see
Other side.
see the other side. And
I
see
tell
the
you
broad
what,
perspective.
stay with that for a second. We'll digress for a split second because the racial issue in America is a major is a problem for me. I'm sure it is for you. But think about this: how many people are raised in households where you don't I don't hang out with a brother every day, right? I'm just saying generically all over the country. I don't hang out with a brother. You don't hang out with a Mexican. I don't hang out with a white guy or whatever. You know what you know, and that's it. And when you meet the other. The reaction may not be great. You might not understand. You might not know. You will not empathize. You will not understand their life, their work. And then you grow out of it. And then you live and you expose and you experience and you do things. And then maybe you get to a point where, because I've told people this before, I believe deep down inside everybody is a little racist in some ways. A little bit.
I would push back on that. I would say that everybody's a little bit bigoted.
Okay.
We don't like people
Different.
who are different than us. Not necessarily
natural.
based
Yeah.
all
yeah,
in
no,
color.
no. I won't go to the hard edge.
But it's about.
But you don't. It's when you meet and you deal with people that are different
People
than
who
you,
play
that are just
sports
not your way.
don't like musicians.
Correct.
Musicians don't like dancers. Dancers
Generalizing,
don't,
yes. Yes.
The clergy don't like.
And that's what I mean. So
yeah.
when I see something like that, I listen to her, and not in some like mainstream stuff, but just like some off interviews. There was some contrition. Heaven forbid we have politics and politicians that
She's only
understand the
38
word.
years old, man. She got a lot of learning to do.
She does. She's got plenty. But
And I think
she's extremely
She and
Buttigieg.
And Buttigieg
youngsters.
has a long way to go, a positive direction they can go in with the Democratic Party.
Yeah, I keep my eye on her because she adequately discusses foreign policy, national security, national defense issues, unlike most of the others that are they're even on stage. They're totally out of their wheelhouse when it comes to her. Here's something I've said on the side. If she doesn't win the nomination,
She won't.
and if it is a Democrat that wins, I'd like to see her as a Secretary of Defense. Or I'm
Agreed.
serious.
Agreed.
Because I think
I
that
agree.
she wants to get us out of wars we have no business in. Okay, and there are some of those. There are some we don't know. You and I don't get the daily briefing, right? And I always caution and
They're
caveat
not
with that.
wars, they're what they call conflicts. You know,
No, Afghanistan technically is a war,
but everybody's saying they're going to end it.
and nobody ends it.
Nobody ends it.
Because those are. Now here's the thing: we don't get the daily briefing. You and I. There are things we don't know.
Well, I can tell you. I can go back to the plan.
Obama said he'd pull us out of Afghanistan. Did
He don't have a plan.
Trump said he was
could
going to
not
pull us
come
out
up-
of Afghanistan.
He
Did
could not plan. They don't have a plan sufficient enough to be able to withdraw those forces.
Because-
I believe that's
No, that's true.
just me talking.
That's true. No,
that's
no,
the
it's true.
issue. We
It's
do
true.
not have a
because I'm
sufficient
going to tell you why.
enough-
Because it's 5,000 years of people never
Right.
really having a good plan for that region of the world.
right.
5,000 years of recorded history. It's kind of hard. Middle East peace? No, hold on. For your boy Jared Kushner, Middle East peace? It's kind of hard, homeboy. It's kind of hard. All right. Let's move on. We got to finish up. All right. So
can we get to the list?
We-
Man,
all right, let's get to the list.
My
But I'm
kids
gonna
are gonna
say-
be looking for me in the morning to
yeah,
be
no,
spry.
okay.
And
Let's get to the list. Okay. So here's the list. First night.
so how you want to do this though? What's the rule? What's our rules of engagement? Am I giving you thumbs up, thumbs down, or
What do you want to do? It's
Want
free
me to
flowing.
gong
Do
on?
you want to get down to 10? Cut it in half.
Because I'm looking at faces right now.
Are you throwing
And
darts?
I can only
You're
get
throwing darts.
me personally,
You're throwing
I can only
darts.
get to 7.
Oh wow. Let's get to 10. Let's cut 10 first. Let's do that. Let's cut 10.
Okay.
And then let's see if we can win them or if I fight back.
So
on you.
10 will get us to 14. You know that, right?
10 to get you 20.
10 will get us to 14.
KP told me 10 will get me 20.
Okay, so my brother
All right.
Mensa.
No, hold on. First night. Let me give you the names.
Oh, you're
Let's-
going. What about the 4 that wasn't in? Let's start with them.
Oh,
that's
man.
easy.
I ain't trying to do. No, it's not easy. It's not easy. I'm gonna
Can
fight
we
you
just
on that one.
eliminate
I'm
them?
gonna fight. No. I'm gonna fight
Who
you
are
tooth
you
and nail
trying to
on
keep?
that.
Who wasn't?
I'm gonna tell you what. Well,
Who are you trying to keep? I mean, who would you? That's the part I don't understand. Who?
there's really only one.
who?
Moulton. Seth Moulton.
Okay, and I know why. I know why. You've already shared
You
that.
do.
with
I've
me.
told you that.
You shared that with
He's
me.
the only guy in the race. 4-term combat. Again, even Tulsi Gabbard and Buttigieg do not have combat experience.
Gotcha.
Okay, 4 tours in the wars that these older guys have started
Gotcha.
and picked. 4 tours. Harvard graduate. The dude is legit.
For presidency?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, we
If
differ-
we could
we-
have,
we differ
listen,
on that one.
If we could have those others on stage,
To me,
I could tell you directly, he's as good as just about all the, in terms of experience, he's not like a Biden or some of the older ones, but he's got enough
what's his
hands down.
foreign policy going to be? What is his domestic?
I
policy?
could tell you what.
Even more concerned. What is his domestic policy going to be?
Let's start with the foreign because that's simpler, right?
He's going to see it through a military lens.
He will be able to pull us out of where we need to be out with a plan. More important, watch this. He's actually, I've heard this guy talk, and I'm going to actually get him on the line. I want to talk to him personally. He's actually talked about, you're going to like this. Hold on, stay with me. He's talking about streamlining defense budget and our military.
So Secretary for Defense.
This
Not
guy
president.
can be, no. Darren, we're looking at a lot of them that shouldn't be there.
I agree. We're going to cut this list down. I say cut the list to 7. You say.
I tell you what, I'm going
So
to
we'll keep your guy on there. What about the other 3?
keep my guy.
What about the other 3?
Keep my guy. It's C-Stack. He's a retired rear admiral. Listen, here's the thing. The guy is good, but he got in too damn late.
Mensa, my fraternity brother from Florida. Not enough experience.
Brother, he's a mayor in.
He's a mayor in in Florida.
I don't know enough about him.
He's one of my
so
fraternity
he's
brothers.
out.
I would say no, and then I don't even know who the other one is. Who's the 4th one?
Well, it might have been Swalwell. Swalwell dropped.
No, but he's out.
Oh no, Tom Steyer.
And Steyer.
Steyer.
And Steyer. He needs to come out.
You're
also.
gonna say,
Yes.
He,
He needs to come out.
He's
got the money, and he's got.
not gonna stop.
That's fine, and he has some ideas that I think that need to be incorporated into the Democratic platform, But he himself, no, that's not
He
what
said
we.
no.
That's
I'll tell
not
you
what
what,
we
though.
need to lead.
I'm not
our
disagreeing. I'm
country.
not disagreeing with you. I will say this though: his commercials are pretty damn good.
Great. So that
His
he can make.
commercial-
So he
keep
can
spending
make.
the money.
He can make commercials
Keep
for
spending the money.
for whoever the ultimate candidate is. Okay.
Okay,
So we
so
got those four. So let Seth Moulton stay in.
I will not. Let me one up from the bottom. On the first night, Steve Bullock.
The,
All right. I wanted to give him a chance, but he had his chance last night. It fell. Okay, so Steve Bullock. Chingao. That's good. All right. Marianne Williamson.
as much as I like her to keep her in,
Don't be dirty. Don't be
there
dirty.
is not enough substance there for her to be our next commander in chief. So I would pull her out.
I like the lady too.
I like her. She comes from a great perspective. She is not a politician.
I'm going to say it. I'm not disagreeing with you, but she actually spoke to some things last
She
night
did.
that not any one of the damn candidates actually spoke. Talked about a soul of this goddamn country.
The one thing that I really appreciate, I shared earlier, is
Getting
that
a little
she
angry.
said, listen, with healthcare, why would you
She talked
trust?
about that. She talked about race. She talked about this country getting its soul back. That's why I'm getting a little hot.
But I don't think that there's enough there.
Well, the
for
scary
her
thing is I don't even
to-
know if the others can actually do that credibly without looking like politicians. But I'm going to go with you because we need to winnow the field. I'm sorry, lady. Got nothing but love for you, but you're out. John Delaney.
Nope.
Pa' fuera que no sirve.
Yep.
Pa' fuera que no.
strike
That
three.
dude aggravated me. That
Nope.
dude aggravated me. And that takes a lot because I'm really patient with people. Tim Ryan.
No.
Pa' fuera que no sirve. Listen, both of those two, by the way, got smashed by. I did that because I'm giving a shout out to my colluder. He's saying, "Oh, he got smashed. She got smashed." He always use that word. So I mean, Warren smacked Delaney around with that line, and then Sanders smacked
Yeah,
Ryan
I
around.
wrote, because Ryan was trying to get traction and he got.
All right, John Hickenlooper. Hey, we're moving the field. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 already. That's 5.
Okay.
We're 5 gone, just like
Okay.
that. Amy Klobuchar.
I would leave her on there. She's not one of the 7, but she's also not a gong for me.
I want to.
I don't know enough. I mean,
Listen, I want to.
haven't seen enough of her.
I
know-
have, and it's just not there.
Okay.
And I like the lady.
Okay.
But she's
for
gone.
me, she would be a question mark.
Okay, for you question.
Mm-hmm.
I'm out on that one.
Okay.
Love it or leave it.
She would be my 8, 9, or 10.
That's a 50 Cent song.
Mm-hmm.
Love it or leave it. The underdog's on top.
The next one.
Beto.
Can I give a double gong? That dude's policy
All right.
for his own wall, the Rio Grande Valley down there, his policy about how to deal with that is atrocious to me. That's atrocious. I mean,
I'll go with you because it needs to win them. Look at him and Buttigieg are occupying the
he's
same
not
space.
even the best Texan that's up there.
Okay, him and Buttigieg are occupying the same space, and he's losing. So
Yeah.
I actually like the guy. He should run for Senate again.
He should run for Senate. He should run for Senate.
All right, so O'Rourke's gone. Hey, we're actually winnowing this field. It's going to be under 10. All right, Buttigieg stays.
Yes.
He's not going anywhere. He's got 25 million in the
He's
bank.
my number 7.
All right, so Buttigieg stays, Warren stays,
Yes.
and Sanders.
Yes.
Sanders would stay even if we wanted him. That guy ain't going anywhere.
He ain't going nowhere.
He ain't going anywhere. All right, so there's 3. Let's back to Bill de Blasio.
No, out.
Double going? I don't like that guy. I'm like, I mean, dude, you need to
I'm not
slow
sure
your mess.
exactly. I think he's pulling a Trump on us. I think he is doing this for his own brand.
He's doing that New York thing.
Yep.
And I hate even saying that because, New York people are good people, but yeah,
He's
there's
doing
no
it for-
question.
He's doing it for his own
Notice
brand.
how they created rules just for that guy.
Yep.
About cutting in, butting in, interrupting.
He's doing it for
They,
his
they created
own
rules.
brand.
All right, so I'm out with that guy too. De Blasio.
Okay.
Hey, listen, if your whole purpose is to be an attack dog, I don't need an attack dog. I need
Definitely
a
don't
mind.
need an attack dog up there on the stage.
Michael Bennett, Colorado.
I think he should run for the Senate. He should. Be,
He's the one that's former superintendent.
I did not know that. He
Yep.
should be running for the Senate.
He's actually really bright.
He should be running for the Senate.
He's real
The dude from
he's
Montana
kind of slow and deliberate.
And O'Rourke should
No,
be
he's
running for the
Colorado.
Senate.
He's Colorado. You
Yeah.
talking about Bullock?
Bullock is that
Montana?
the one from Montana?
Yeah.
So he should be running for. Is he?
Yeah.
Is he on there next? Oh, he's up a
No,
little bit.
he's out already.
Okay.
Okay, Bennett's a good guy. He means well. I've done research on him background. He's really good.
Colorado's not a bad state.
Oh no,
either.
they do some. You should have seen some of the things that he did in his school district.
And
He turned his school district
Which
around.
school district it was?
In Colorado, Denver somewhere.
Okay.
Anyway,
I'll check it out.
I tell you what, you and I can appreciate the education.
I'll check it out.
And he's the only one tonight, and here's another travesty. Nobody talked about education yesterday or tonight. He brought it up.
Yeah.
You know how we can solve criminal justice? You know how we can do this? Educate your kids.
But no, that's not true. Castro did too. Castro talked about investment.
Tonight?
Yeah, talk
I must
about
have missed
investment. Because one of the questions was about the Baltimore situation.
I may have been done. No, you're right. I was done
About
already.
the
I was on my
Baltimore.
way.
So how would you change Baltimore?
I already
invest
cut out.
in early education, invest in K-12 education, invest in making sure that post-secondary education is available to those
But
who...
here's what I will say. No one speaks to education like Bennett, and for obvious reasons.
Right.
He's a former superintendent who's actually got the job done. And I'll say this, generically, we're not talking about education. And that should be, on a Democratic side, part and parcel, one or two in terms of priorities. Because if you solve and you get education right, you have less people incarcerated.
Correct.
You have less this. You have less that. You have creation, innovation. You have
People
technology and
options.
markets.
People have options. which
Okay,
they
but
don't have now.
I'll probably go because Bennett needs to go. All right, Jay Inslee, Governor of Washington.
I like some of the
I'm
stuff.
going to keep him.
I like some of the stuff he's
I'm going to keep him
done,
because I want to hear him some more.
But he's not above, for me, he's not above being like the Secretary of the Interior or, maybe that's the wrong department, but
Now, you're not wrong, but I'll tell you this. He could be a president. And he could, if he did some of the things at the national level that he's done in Washington,
he doesn't have the national experience. That's my only.
a lot of them don't.
Got you. That's
Most
my
of them
only.
don't. But I'll say this: I want to keep. I would keep him for at least to flesh out more than just the climate thing, because he's clearly light years ahead of everybody else in terms of climate.
Correct.
And the things that he's done in Washington, he's used climate and climate change as a vehicle to generate jobs and industry. Now, and I've told people what we need to do in our country is be leaders on green and renewable energies. Be the leaders at the forefront of a market and economy that we funnel everything out to the rest of the world and they pay us. I would keep him for one more, just to hear him. Because the guy's smart, by the way. He's a smart guy, and he's done some really good things in Washington. Kirsten Gillibrand. No, you're out?
It's not for me.
Okay, I'll probably let her go too, but I'm going to tell you what. She's the only one that has spoken with authority on women's issues. I think she's gone too far on some things, but nobody has occupied the space that she has when it comes to women's
But
issues.
I think she's doing that because she's got to differentiate herself. You can't tell me that Elizabeth Warren and Harris, Gabbard, and those other ladies that are in this crew would not do the same thing if they thought it was
I
important.
think what's hurt her is that she's not made the jump from the person that's the women's issue lady, while the others are women, but they're not just talking about women's issues.
Correct.
That's it. So I'll go with you in that because we need a Tulsi Gabbard. I want to keep.
As much as I want to keep her,
You want to boot her? Well, we're still within range. We're still okay.
She's. If I kept her, she would be number 10.
Castro.
Yes. I like that guy.
I didn't see enough of him at the end.
I like that dude.
I don't
a
agree
lot.
with him on a few of his policies, but the kid's smart. Okay, Andrew Yang.
He's like Williamson for me.
What is the opposite of Donald Trump?
Yeah. He is.
An Asian guy that likes math.
Right.
That was he did it again. He did it again. That was funny as hell.
I like the guy, but there's just not enough substance there.
You know what I've noticed about him? I'm going to give him some credit. He is not going to win it. Okay, I get that, and I'm probably going to. I'll let him go. But here's the thing. He is one of the few out of the 20 that I've watched over all the debates so far. He answers your question. He doesn't take up more than his allotted time, and he's respectful of other people. There's a scary thought in the world,
I get his emails all the time. I don't remember how
There's a scary thought
I heard
in
him on the
America.
radio. I heard him on the radio, and I liked him, and so I wound up subscribing
I want to
to it.
reiterate the point before I cut him loose. He answers the damn question. He respects others. He doesn't take other people's time. He doesn't butt in. In what part of America is that not good?
Yeah.
I have a problem with that. I mean, that guy's legit.
He also needs to stay around politics as well.
Cory
Although
Booker.
After his showing tonight, I would keep him.
Will he make the next debate stage, think?
I don't even know what the rules are for the next debate.
They're all, a lot of them are in the bubble.
But so my whole thing is that they need to cut this field to about no more than 12.
I think 10.
This next,
I think
well, I
10.
got you, but 10 or 12 this next debate, and if
12's
they don't,
too many.
if they don't do that, they're wasting their time.
Time-wise, you're just like,
They're
okay,
wasting
so
their
the
time.
last two are Harris and Biden. I think
They're in.
that's understood.
Both.
So just off of what I got here, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I had 10 already. That was 10. So
Okay.
I had Biden, Harris, Booker, keeping Yang, even if I kept Yang, Castro, Gabbard, Jay Inslee, Buttigieg, Warren, Sanders, and I still want to keep Moulton. I want Moulton on a stage. He hasn't had the opportunity.
But he's got to earn that, though. You just can't put him up there. He's got to earn that. So you got a list of 10, you said?
That was 10 right there.
3.
That was 10.
No Klobuchar.
No.
She didn't make it.
Nope.
I would keep Klobuchar over Yang.
Okay.
I
Fair
think,
enough.
and on my list, I would keep her above Yang because there's more depth and more substance to Klobuchar, policy making, how that all works out.
I agree, but I
above
think we've
Yang.
got plenty of that, and I do think we need some fresh perspective, and we need some people that are not just government people.
I got you.
I mean, I'm serious,
got you.
because the majority of them, they're just
But
all government people.
The only cautionary tale I'll show you is look at what's happening with 45. He came straight off the streets.
That's premeditated. That's
Thinking-
assuming they're all
think-
going to be like that.
No. I'm not even talking about how bad he is. I'm just talking about that he came in. One of the things he came in office and says is we don't need another politician. We need somebody to run
right,
government
right.
like a business.
Right. And that's a
Government
problem.
is not a business.
You're kind of with me on that, right? Like you don't.
Government is not
I know,
a business.
I know you've heard this term like in education. Oh, we need to run like a business.
It's not
no,
a business.
You don't.
It's not a business. There
You know
are
why?
business elements.
Yeah, business elements,
Right,
but not
but
running
you
it
don't
like a
run it
business.
like a business.
Because in a business, what can you do? You can just fire somebody.
Charter schools.
Well, yeah, that too. But I'm
no,
talking.
but
I'm
what
talking-
what
I'm
are
talking-
charter schools?
I know what charter schools are.
They're businesses.
But I'm talking about at the core, at the top. You're right about that. You're right about that. But think about this at the very top. A boss can walk in and say, "You're out of here." You just can't do that in government.
In government,
because
correct.
you may be removing somebody that's critical to national security.
Charter schools, you can. I know I'm on to another.
You can do whatever you
I'm
want.
on to another topic,
thing.
another subject.
Okay, so there's our long, drawn out tonight. We did put a lot in. There was 6 hours, ladies and gentlemen, and I watched them all and went through it all. Cut out. We can't get into extremely specific, substantive, but gave you the general overview. And we do need to narrow the field down because we need more time with the people that most likely are going to be on that last stage facing off against President Trump. Because at that point, then you're going to need to know what it is these people are putting forward. So I'll say this on both sides of the aisle, Democrat or Republican. Don't hold your nose up and call people names. Listen to what they have to say. If you don't like it, then vote for somebody else. But it doesn't move the American needle forward, or even better than what it is prior, if all you do is out of hand begin with the process of like, I don't like it because it's not me. Well, then that is the very nature of bigotry, correct?
It
That's
is.
it.
That's the definition.
Okay, so plenty of time, plenty you got. I'll see you guys on Fun Friday, but had a good time tonight. You guys have a great one. I will see you on Friday. Thank you, Brother Miller.
Hey, all complaints about my performance at work tomorrow, go to SuperMex.
To the inbox. Nothing but love for you. Hey, Puerto Rico, don't compromise, baby.
Puerto Rico.
Do not compromise on position. Nothing but love for you guys out there. Nothing but love for America. SuperMex
Puerto
Nation.
Rico.
We are out.